call the meeting to order. First thing is, so in terms of the meeting minutes, I know it's really only the two of us. I had looked through really all three, not necessarily the fine tooth comb, but with enough to, know that all the motions and everything else are there. They look fine to me. So if there's no further comment, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from November 19th, December 17th, and January 8th as written.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor? Rick, aye.
Chris, aye.
Okay. Cool. All right. You want to give us a quick update in terms of that Board of Health meeting? I know you had sent a little thing over to me, but
yeah. So it's basically I did meet the new town nurse, I guess.
Yep.
She's really good, and the new assistant director, I think, this Matt guy, also really good. She one of the things she's interested in doing has bearing on us is having a tick informational session at one of the Kids at Play days. So essentially for the kids, maybe it could be at pickup or when parents are there even as well. But we'll have more, I guess more discussion on that with her. So that was really encouraging. And then she also wants to, not so much related to Kids at Play or rec, she wants to provide information on vaccines, etc., just to make sure that people have the right information in the town. Because I think, with the current administration, there's a lot of I think there's confusion probably with people, and she's going on based on what the Massachusetts Department of Public Health is recommending, and not CDC or whatever is changing. So she wants to make that clear. But I thought the tick thing was pretty important because it's pretty bad. I mean, I was out last week with the dog and there were ticks. And I was like, I thought they were all dead in the winter. No, they're not.
no, yeah.
So yeah, so and then with regard to the Pratt Pond cyanobacteria issues, the Board of Health, we had that initial meeting a while back, where Laura was there, and then all the Lakes, Pond, and Stream people were. That was the LPS meeting basically, and this was a Board of Health specific meeting, and the recommendation they had was for us to figure out, and namely the newer guy on the Board of Health, to figure out if the proposed plan that they have for monitoring with test strips and or sending samples off to that lab are good with the Mass Department of Public Health, and whether they will would sign off on something like that. They've talked. The Lake, Pond, and Streams guys have talked with I think Wayland and and one of the Worcester groups that also is doing kind of similar things. So they've been in contact. So the key actions from that meeting were to check with the Department of Public Health, Massachusetts, and then check with these other two towns to just get in more information on how they went about doing this. With regard to funding, I think Laura, as kind of Board of Health and select person, was more mentioning getting this on a warrant for the town meeting to get, for instance, like $5,000 to do the pilot, put it before the town. I don't think anybody would argue with that. And then we could try it, they could try it out for the first year and get things done. So that seemed to be the direction that was going in. and Laura mentioned specifically about us having a revolving budget versus, you know, having money to just spend, and, our restrictions with regard to contributing based on that. So she's well aware of that, obviously. So I think it's more going to be going towards, a warrant on the town meeting, and, lakes, ponds, and streams will be, passed, I think, with coming up with some language around that.
So maybe the only question I have there, because I remember you sending that through and saying, potentially getting on a warrant and that type of stuff, but
Mhm.
would that be with Board of Health ownership of the warrant article, or would that be written for like under a recreation piece, hence something that we manage versus Board of Health managing?
I think lakes, ponds, and streams would be managing it, from what I understand. They've done all of the research into these test strips and the labs that can do water sample analysis and things like that. So
Okay,
I think they would be coming up with something on that.
okay.
I can reach out to them and find out, because I think the draft warrants are due pretty soon, right?
I think so, and that's
Yeah.
part of I guess that was part of the reason why I was asking whether or not were we expected to try to put some kind of an article together for that, or was that, was it Lakes, Ponds and Streams team, or was it was it a Board of Health one, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day,
Hmm.
it's still gonna end up coming down to, you know, Board of Health readings, and, if we get the authorization to kind of reopen based off of steady, maybe there's a day spike, but if it recoils the next day and is done,
Hmm.
and it's back to the normal levels that it's been for the last 3 weeks prior,
Hmm.
outside of that one day, is that then
Sorry, we had a quick emergency with bath time, but I am now listening and just gonna be over here.
No problem.
okay? um on whether or not that is one of those, one of those things that we'll just have to write up and try to manage, and people will look at it from us knowing that it's beach, and
Hmm. Hmm.
thinking it's a recreation call versus a Board of Health call versus a lakes, ponds and streams call, right?
Yeah.
Most people, I would think, would assume that it's still a Board of Health call. So
All right, I'll take that action and contact Board of Health and Lake, Ponds, and Streams and figure out who is responsible for
yeah,
that piece. I'll look at the minutes too from that meeting. They may not be out
yeah, okay,
yet, and I don't think it was recorded, in being there. I don't think it was, on a Teams meeting or anything like that, so,
got it.
I'll
Yeah.
find out. Yep,
Okay.
I will find
Yeah,
out.
again, yeah, that'd be great, because at the end of the day, I mean, trust me, I'm in favor of it. If
Yeah,
it's one of those, we can hold a closure to 2 or 3 days,
right,
versus week and a half to 2 weeks.
yeah,
That's so much better for us.
yeah,
So yeah,
okay. Yeah, I'll read I mean, that new guy, Matt, on the Board of Health, I
yeah,
think has taken a lot of the responsibility for looking into a lot of this. And I know Lakes, Ponds, and Streams has done they've worked out the costs for the strips,
yeah,
and if we were to send out, samples to this lab, how much those things would cost. So, yeah, I'll check on that.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Hi, sorry.
Appreciate that. Well, no,
Some
and that's
inhaled water and not being able to breathe, but we're
Oh,
okay.
that's not good.
okay.
Not super great.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Must
Better
keep
than okay,
swimming.
that's
Must
good.
keep swimming. Sorry, that's probably inappropriate, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, now that
sometimes
she's
you gotta
okay,
laugh
I'm
a
like,
little.
but it
Yeah.
was It was a
Yeah.
scary moment, but we're good.
Good,
Exactly.
good.
All right.
All right, sorry, where are we at?
So I think we just finished doing the conversation on lakes and ponds.
Great.
Heading into director's report.
Okay. Right. So sharing here.
Yeah.
So I mean, Rick sent really the big number updates the other day with expenses and revenue where we're at with the 75, let's call it, in revenue and 180 in expenses. It always sounds scary, and this is the math of, you know, we spend at the end and we make it up at the, or we spend at the beginning, make it up at the end. So this is the hole we're in, but it's well within what we typically bring in revenue for the year. I don't know. I haven't done the, like Rick kept saying, like 1/3, 2/3. I haven't done to know if this is well within what we typically bring in these months. But hopefully it is.
So yeah, actually, do you want me to jump to that? Because I actually
Yep.
only sent that to you.
Oh, then yes. Sorry, I thought you sent it around.
Yeah, no, I figured that maybe we would talk, you know, if we had the opportunity, that we would try to talk and see whether or not that's something that we
Yeah.
could have done. So let's see. Let's get to this. So I think you know, so a lot of those same numbers, right? I did a quick little cross reference, and all the numbers are exactly the same. So, you know, but I think what this was just doing is, you know, for this fiscal year, we did get a number from Kenny, right, of what our ending / starting balance was, right? This is that 115 number, right? And then obviously we know what's been done for expenses, and we know what we've taken in for revenue so far, right? So month to month, and oh, by the way, that's what it looked like last year. Right?
Okay. So
That's what it looked like the year before, right? So feasibly we could actually actually, wait a minute, which one did I send this one to you? I might not have sent this one. So I was kind of keeping one to say, do we want to do one that's kind of just for now? You know, this one, you know, kind of like a fiscal year 26. Was the one you're looking at a fiscal year 26, Maria? Because I was playing around with another one, and that might have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I saw this one, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were looking at something else. So there was one that I had coded as a fiscal year 26, and then I removed it. Like I took the 26 off it because I now have, you know, other years. So I've kind of rippled forward and back. I went, you know, I did some work in Vadar to go back and do things. But basically what that would allow me to go back and do is say, you know, like, you know, the last 2 months of this year for recreation, you know, basically paying staff, you know, $133,000 or almost $134,000. Yet, you know, last year was almost 150, right? So we've spent less this fiscal year so far.
Okay, that was what I
Type
was
of
actually
thing.
just going to bring up as my question.
Yep.
So yeah, tracking where we are in relation to previous years. So expense less, revenue?
Yeah, revenue. So last year for those first 2 months was, you know, 75.5. This one's, you know, 68, almost 69. So not that far off. Probably relation wise is probably about the same.
Okay. Okay. So made less, but spent less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, I did this only because in my mind, it's a little bit more clean sheet in terms of, hey, it's the monthly number, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to, you know, I don't necessarily, I didn't go through looking through all the dirty details of what made up the, you know, the 10-1 this past month. Now I can tell you most of it is payroll and benefits, right? With a couple other, things within it. But, for the most part, that's what it's been the last 2 months.
Yep.
While, we don't have a lot of revenue coming in, that's really, yoga and volleyball.
Yep.
I expect, a lower number for December, but I expect January to pop on a number of fronts because you'll have kids at play starting. There's different things for pickleball in terms
Pickleball
of,
annual, yeah.
Annual and indoor, right? Because that's when we really turned on the charging for indoor stuff now too. So, I think we'll start seeing things come in, but, one of those things is, we're, the numbers somewhat tight.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
are we at risk of something? Not sure. I'm assuming the 42, 45, whatever the MyRec payment number is that still needs to be paid.
Yeah, that was sent over. Chris, I sent you the expense report just today.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so that's coming out this month. So that'll,
So,
Yep,
and you know what? Feasibly, it should be okay, right? Because if we're starting to see some registration things or something, that'll end up taking care of it, right? To the point where we shouldn't be going into there shouldn't be a time when we're going into a negative number here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but obviously, parks revolving, kind of same thing. Some things are stagnant for a little bit, and then obviously site improvements, beach and concert stuff hasn't changed in a while because it's not going to.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
right, and part for the course. So,
where am I looking at different numbers? Where you just said the concert one,
Yep.
and I thought I had different numbers than you.
nope. So we got the spend of 6650
Mhm.
and a balance
Oh.
of 2350.
2350 is what I was looking for. That's where my
Yeah.
eyes glazed over because it was repeated. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Well, I again, and why did I do that? I just did it for consistent look,
Sure. Yeah.
mhm.
right?
So
It-
so that balance, the 2350, is that what we have to spend in June for
Yep.
this
Yep.
fiscal year?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
That's your answer for the band, for the June band.
That's the one June band, right?
Yep.
So I think we put that out there for the Beatles guys. Because they're not cheap. And
Yeah.
we could use most of that probably.
Yeah. As long as
Okay.
it is within that. Great.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds
Perfect.
good.
Awesome.
All right.
So Rick, at some point I'd love to touch base on exactly where you're pulling these numbers from, because I think from everything we've done so far, this one to me gives us the most relevant information of just where are we this month, expense and revenue, and obviously the others, the other
Yep.
accounts compared to previous year's expense revenue totaled.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I logged in under some Maria person's account in Vadar, and I literally went back and forth between fiscal year 24, 25, 26, and different views, monthly snapshots, and a couple other things, and just started kind of putting it together to get a feel. And that's why I know if I even come back here and say, for this being last year, right, and say, all right, let's just say it's 250, right, just for sake of round numbers. Your first half of the year was 81. Well, 81 of 250, right, is, a hair over a third.
Right.
Right. So, so therefore kind of going, this year, even though the balance, right. So like the balance got low, the balance is a lot lower, but I would expect that we're gonna, if this is the first month so far, and we're already at 74, and that's a third, right? Then, does that mean it's going to come in a little bit lower, that 10, 15 number? Let's hope not, right? You know, but we also are charging a little bit more. I don't know if, you know, some of that balances out. We get, you know, a little bit more for yoga. We'll get you know, a little bit more on the pickleball side for the indoor stuff. So, you know, now granted, we're paying out a little bit more as well, but you know, we'll have to see exactly how that comes together and falls. All right.
So that the 9,000 concert number, is that 7,500 plus the sponsorships that we got? Because the sponsorships added up to 2,500.
So you know what? That's a great question, and I'm gonna say no, because I believe they reset the concert back to that $9,000 balance,
Oh, okay.
which means I am actually not 100% sure where the sponsorship
Sponsorship
money
went. Yeah.
went.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't mean that it didn't go anywhere. It's just, you know, I didn't specifically go and look at it in that sense to try to find something that was sponsorship related.
Okay.
Maria, unless Maria, do you remember where some of that?
Well,
Right.
no, and I think that was one of the things we had brought up last time, all of us or some of us were talking, is tracking those extra little things. Often I don't see them in Vadar where I think I'm going to see them. So I don't
Mm.
know if they're represented in different places than I think they
Right.
should be, or does it mean that they never hit? Because those are the hard things where if they never hit, no one catches it.
Yep.
Whereas like an expense, the
Right.
vendors come in to call if it never hits.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing, you know, the financial assistance stuff, right? I don't know if it hit where it's supposed to hit. So those are
Yep.
the things I think we need to work on system wise.
Yeah.
How are we tracking it? You know, where are we looking for revenue related things to make sure it's actually coming through and in the place it's coming through and in the fiscal year it's coming through?
Mhm.
Because yeah, there's a few of those that are outstanding that I don't know
Yep.
where they're represented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that may be, you know, maybe that's one of those other things that, you know, if we, you know, so I, you know, for the most part, I grabbed all this kind of doing Vadar stuff monthly, just monthly type views. I forget exactly which one. There's a different one for a setting that actually gives me like more of a monthly breakdown. And you know, you can get the raw number pretty darn quick. But yeah, but if there's certain details within it, they're saying, hey, you know, I we want to make sure we watch for this month, right? And you know, can we see it, right? And I you know, I even think back to, you know, a year and a half ago when we were sitting there going, why did this number, you know, why did this go into that account? We need that, you know, that shouldn't have gone over here. That should have been over there. We need that, you know, we need a journal entry or something in order to change that around. And it seemed to take forever in order to get done, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, so yeah, something along those lines. Has something gone in and hit that we weren't expecting it to get into that bucket? So, yep.
Yeah. So
Okay. So
I mean,
Maria, you and I can, you know, I mean, that, I think
Take
that's
a little.
something, you know, you and I can take the piece on. I guess the only, you know, maybe the only part of that it ended up being is, you know, um, you know, how do we, you know, how are we identifying that there's something unique within the month and we want to make sure we track it, right? But you and I,
Yeah.
you know, we can work that.
Yeah. Just so I don't forget off the top of my head, I'm thinking system wise. I think it might need to be good old paper, you know, papers in a pile and the you know, this pile doesn't get put into the 3-ring binder until it's been cross-checked.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe like revenue all has to get cross-checked because again, you know, we're gonna know if an expense doesn't get paid. Someone's come and call. So obviously it's good to double check, but it doesn't have to be as tedious. But maybe revenue gets the like, you know, it stays out of the binder. Some, you know, something along those lines. It doesn't necessarily have to be a list because I think sometimes too many different tracking
Sure.
documents and lists here and this here and digital there is where things actually get more confusing. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes, the
Yeah,
answer is
no,
you have to figure it out, but
yeah. And you know what, that probably makes sense on the revenue side, a little bit more, only because, I think a lot of the expense stuff, we're using the right account numbers. He's not going back and changing from this account to that account and all that type of stuff. Revenue might have a little bit of a different feel to it, especially if he's thinking, oh, this should have been this, and he's fixing it on our behalf. But, then we're never fixing it for him because we never know that it needs to be changed.
Right.
Or, we need to go back to him with the explanation of why we put it against the account number that we put it to in the first place. And why did he change it on us? Because that's not where we were expecting it to come from. So,
yeah. Yeah, and not to spring anything on the new town manager right when presumably I think they've offered and she's accepted, so I believe it's just now the waiting game. But now that she's, has a timeline, but I think in March when in March when she begins, I think maybe it's a conversation of sitting down and saying, hey, I'm sure the question's gonna be, hey, what's one of the things rec faces, biggest issues rec faces, and the obvious answer will be financial tracking. And I think, it might be, is there some system through Vadar, through Kenny, through something that's not necessarily being utilized, maybe for efficiency or whatever, where we can break down more specifically revenue that hits.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a cross check. When I see 25 grand hit revenue for the month, I don't know if that $2,000 from Unibank is part of it or not, right? I don't, it's not listed out.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of these are, I think, falling through the cracks. And the answer is honestly, like, I don't know, unless I knew exactly what it was supposed to be and can add 2,000 to it, and then we know we're good.
Right. It's kind of like the payroll expense number where you go, well, we knew it was 15 and we broke it down into its 13x and 16y or whatever, and went, or 1600y, and went, okay, this piece is Maria's, this piece is Kids at Play, right?
Well,
yes, because I figured that out too.
But I have done that. So in trying to break things down to understand what's in what pile,
Yep.
in the big tracking document, I've pulled the information from Sub It Up and listed, team leader,
Sure,
payroll, counselor payroll, blah blah blah, and then rec director payroll. And I've said, okay, this should be equaling to what hit as the payroll expense.
Yeah.
It has never once matched up perfectly.
Oh, okay.
So
It's often close, within a couple $100.
Yeah. Interesting. Is that just because what's in the Sum It Up system isn't the same exact thing as what's on the paper time cards?
No, because the Sub It Up system is the paper time cards. We run the Sub It Up report, submit it to payroll.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So we're not doing the paper versions anymore, and I guess that's.
I mean,
that's good.
Technically with mine, but again, it's a flat, right? Just hands me and says, "This is your weekly amount," and I say, "Okay." So
Yeah,
it's
no,
still
yeah.
not.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, I know I'm dating myself a little bit of kind of going back when we used to have the paper ones and kind of sign them and
Yep.
submit, and away we went. So, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, Chris, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, so I looked back at my for last year, and we used leftover from fiscal year 25 to pay for Moxie for the first concert.
Yep.
Then the fiscal year 26 budget was 6,500, and the sponsorships were 2,500. That's where the 9,000 comes from. So that actually got credited to the right
Okay.
budget, just
Okay.
for our information.
So,
And then the total band's cost was $150 below the 9,000, but I think we didn't pay one or two of the bands, and that adds up to the 23 something, whatever it is. left
Okay.
over.
Because we got knocked down to 65 when they were trying to cut the budget lines.
Well,
We're
so
at, it was
so
65 to
yes,
start.
but there were a couple other things that he went and knocked down and then reset it back to its
Yes.
original amount.
Concerts was one of them.
But
Concerts
what
was
was concerts one of them, I guess is the question. Did
was.
they knock it down
Yeah.
and then leave it there? And then
No,
we
they
added,
put it back up to 65. 6,500.
yeah, but our original number was 9.
right.
Oh,
So it was
was it?
9
Okay.
down to 65, and then with Unibank 9. But if we were supposed to get bumped back up, then shouldn't it really have been 9 plus Unibank?
Oh, so it depends where the Unibank and School of Rock money went, or was
Yeah.
it just was it bumped up, or did that sponsorship?
Right.
Make
So
up for it.
maybe they didn't actually bump us back up.
Yeah.
The sponsorship is what it bumped us back up.
It could be.
Yeah, that might, yeah, I don't, I'll say that could be shit luck type thing.
Yeah.
Technical
Yeah,
term
it's
there.
it's the
but,
same
yeah, you know,
number. It's the same number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
Okay.
the push, and we don't even necessarily have to wait for the new town manager. Maybe it's a reach out to Kenny to just say, one of the things we're really struggling with is tracking revenue because it's not broken down. Is there, if it gets submitted as broken down, just like the expenses do, can it be listed? Because right now they've asked me to submit it as a lump sum. Here's the MyRec revenue. But
Yeah.
if I break it down and say, here's the volleyball revenue and the yoga revenue and the whatever, are you willing to, figure out how to report it that way? Or is it literally possible to figure out how to report it that way? Maybe we push a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because, in essence, we need that data in order to make sure we're budgeting things appropriately, right?
Yeah.
So, how, lump sum, I mean, I get it. Well, then, okay, well, then here's my lump sum expense as well, but, we know that that's not gonna go over.
Right.
Right? You don't play by the same rules in that one, so. Anyway, okay, yeah, so maybe
All right.
maybe we do go back and we do a polite ask.
Rick, is that something you would feel comfortable shooting Kenny
I
an
can.
email? Okay.
I can, because, I mean, now I didn't necessarily push it, but I thought it was a pretty honest ask on the balances of those two, and it wasn't the next day, but he eventually got back to it and like, oh, okay, yeah, here you go, and so on and so forth. So I could certainly ping on that as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Okay. So
Cool.
I think, I mean, for concert planning, I think we're pretty solid that we have that money left over from last year to
Yep.
spend for June.
Yep.
I will pursue sponsorships again with Unibank and School of Rock. And then
Great.
if we need to go to Upton Dental, if School of Rock falls through, then we can try them, I guess, as well, because they've sponsored in past years. Not
Yeah.
last year.
I will be honest, I stopped seeing them as a dentist, so it's possible
Oh.
they're less interested now.
I
Sorry.
mean, I can approach other businesses too and find
Yeah,
out.
they might still be. They're very sweet people and they really want to help the community. It just, talking over your appointment was very efficient. And that
Yes.
is no longer the case.
Got it. Okay.
One thing, Chris, just before you go to Unibank, we had talked about potentially going to them for field trip
Yep.
instead of concert. I guess, or both, but I think
Yeah.
maybe, with us looking at higher expenses and not necessarily feeling confident in our revenue side, maybe having that be the first ask of,
Yeah.
would you be interested in sponsoring a or all of our field trips? Whether it's the buses or the actual field trips or all of the above or whatever,
Yeah.
or a limited number of them. Or, and then if the answer is no, maybe the second ask is concerts.
Yeah. And I go talk to Steven. He's pretty amenable to just chatting about these things. And I looked at their website about what they kind of support in the community, and definitely like kids stuff and that whole thing. I mean, they have a list of things that they don't sponsor, but they do have lists of stuff that they would sponsor. And I think
Yep.
like a field trip thing could fall under that. But I'll
Yeah.
go talk to Stephen at Unibank
That would be great. Yeah.
at the Upton branch. And I'll
I
frame
think-
it as
Yes.
we have options on our side of sponsoring a Kids at Play thing, field trips, or concert, and see, you know,
Yeah.
our first priority being Kids at Play.
Yeah.
And then our second priority being concert stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, there
at
we
that
go.
point, if they do want the Kids at Play stuff, then we have to write a one pager on the program, how the expenses are going to be used, that kind of thing. So
Right.
we can get that done. Okay.
Great.
Cool.
All right. We go back to director's report. So expenses. So a couple of topics. So the sauna. I don't know if you all saw, emails flying around with Dennis and stuff. So last month, I think it was last month, I had a meeting with Molly and Brandon. And they have built and then now are opening a business for a portable sauna. So it's a really cool idea. They're really passionate about it. And their question was, hey, would you feel comfortable, or is it even allowed if we wanted to like bring it down? People could rent it, or at the beginning while we're getting our feet under us, maybe it's even a just try it out type of thing. But I think, it's a business. So the idea is looking for it to be for a fee, but they would park it down there and then people could use it. And whether it's associated with specific events, or just park it on weekends and have people walk up and pay, or, whatever. But I think a little bit of a marketing, central location, and just testing the waters of what people might be interested in using it for. I said, we're probably never going to sponsor a polar plunge just with all of the liability stuff, but something along those lines of the like hot and cold might be really interesting avenue if they want to try to go somewhere for that. So I definitely think there's avenues for it to be related to events. But I also think, as my personal opinion, I told them the rec director and my personal, hippie opinion is saunas are awesome and really good for your health. And, this is a really cool thing that they're doing. And that would be, I individually would be interested in this business succeeding. As the rec director, there's a whole lot I don't know about insurance and liability. And are we talking summer where it's already 90 degrees and then you park a sauna at, after people have been depleting themselves swimming in a water and then sitting out in the sun and stuff? I don't know. Also, I don't know how much in terms of advertising versus just allowing them to park it there. I don't know in terms of, do they have to get a permit to park it there? Is there a fee? So there's just a lot that's, I think, outside of us, because we don't typically do something of this sort. So they put together a sort of a quick explanation of what the sauna is, and what their dream is, and some other businesses outside of Massachusetts that have done something similar. I don't know if you all had a chance to click into it. Yeah. So in my opinion, and I want to hear what you all have to say, but in my opinion, it's a little bit of I'm okay with it as long as all of the other associated departments are okay with it, as long as it gets the permits for parking there, as long as the lawyers say and the insurance says that it meets all the requirement, as long as police are fine with it taking up a parking spot and blocking, emergency vehicle access. Like, as long as everybody else's stuff is checked off, I have no problem. And especially the first year, I don't know if I'm looking for it to be a fee thing that we get versus allow you to park there, and then maybe in the future, if it takes off, we talk about some things. But
yeah, I mean, I looked at today other similar businesses that do this, and just went to the site, and it says, yeah, we're doing a sauna at the brewery and usually they're in the late winter, kind of early spring when it's still cool outside.
Yeah.
And it looked like, you know, they're charging like for an hour, I think they fit like 3 to 4 people. They're charging like generally like $70 for the hour, or $100 for an hour and a half.
Mhm.
And it seemed like the ones that I looked at, they were pretty full up and booked. So I mean, one was just, it was not available at all. So I think it is a popular idea. And and I think in the letter that, or the email or something, they said this could help you with your revenue thing. I don't know exactly how that would work, but I mean, that's a
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's just a matter of how much, if if that's the pricing, but that's how much we need to pay to them, then, you know, it's, that adds to the expense line, right?
no, I
And
think,
I
mean,
don't think they're looking
no,
for us to take it over. I don't think they're
yeah,
looking for us to coordinate it. I think they're looking for us to allow them to park it and run their business.
oh,
right. And
Yeah.
then we make some revenue. I mean, it's kind of like
oh,
Yeah.
okay,
volleyball.
I
or
would guess like a flat fee if it's anything, hey, you can park it here for this, whatever per hour type of
right,
thing.
got it.
I'm
Oh,
guessing
okay,
that would be the
okay,
revenue side of it.
okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
they run the registration site and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm assuming they have somebody there manning it to, restock the wood and, clean it in between
yeah.
sessions and all that kind of good stuff.
Yep.
That's what I was kind of wondering the same thing, of going, all right, are they expecting us to fire the thing up and keep
No,
wood
no,
going and all that type of stuff too? And
no.
I'm
They
like, I'm
call
not
it,
so sure we got that.
they call it something. It's like a Finnish or a Swedish term of the person that
Yeah,
stays there and restocks the wood and does all that stuff. So,
yeah, okay.
but yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
it's,
mean, I'm not against it, and I did notice that they put in fall, winter, spring, not
mm-hmm,
summer, right?
Right.
mm-hmm,
So
Right.
I think
yep,
acknowledging the fact that, more than likely people aren't going to want to go into the sauna in the middle of the
no,
summertime when it's already a sauna out.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's, um, um, so if it's not taking a parking spot during,
The summer, yeah.
the summer
beach time, yeah,
piece, then
yeah,
fine. I mean, so when Dennis called me about it this morning, thinking, no one's talked to these folks, which it sounds like that's not necessarily true, but
But yeah, we had.
I mean, he didn't, I think, his part was, the thinking that I got from them is that he seemed decently, like, he seemed okay with it. But he still wanted to be involved because it's putting it on town property,
mm-hmm,
Yep.
right? And I get it, all the waivers, everything else, and everything's there. But he acknowledged a lot of that stuff's already there, so they've already got the licensing, everything else. It's a lot less worry for him in that sense. But, or at least that was the read that I had from him. So, so it sounds like a DPW side sounds like it's somewhat amenable to allowing them to do that too.
Yeah. I think I chatted with Dennis too, and I think that's the same idea of like, no one's really against this, but I do think it's gonna come down to insurance, lawyers, maybe Board of Health, and then the
mm-hmm,
specifics. What is the deal? Are we saying you can park there for free? But you have to do all the permitting and everything on your own. Are you saying, hey, we'll help with this, but you got to pay this per hour? We say, hey, you got to do it on your own and you got to pay this per hour. I don't know, is the first year of trying it out different than future years, where the first year you get a kind of a gifted spot and the future years you got to pay? I don't know.
Yep.
But I think, Dennis, if I understand what you all are saying, no strong feelings against it. I think Dennis wanted to call in a meeting next week. I proposed Tuesday, and just see, hey, let's all touch base and, kind of get everybody in the same room, and bring up some of these details so that it's not me talking to them talking to Dennis talking to Rick, let's just all
Mhm.
chat about it.
Yep. So you're gonna meet next week then?
I haven't heard back that works for Dennis, but that
Okay, yeah, let me
he
know, I
had
can go
said let's
too.
try to meet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can go as well if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I think as long as we know what our questions are, and again, my questions are mostly really other departments' questions.
Yeah.
I guess just in case for any reason, Chris, you're not there, or just to get Rick your idea, do you think the first year we should try to push for any sort of revenue, or do you think it should be local couple, let's give them the first year gifted, and then future years we charge?
I, no, I mean, certainly I think that's a year to year thing, but, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of something in terms of kickback, especially if we're doing some if we're doing a little bit of promotion and actually like listing it on something that we're involved in, I wouldn't mind seeing at least a little something come back.
Yeah, I see. I mean, they've obviously researched other people who do this, so see what they think and how they think it's going to work with regard to a revenue stream for us.
Yeah.
And what the options are.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I think that's the question, and then maybe send that legal thing to the town lawyer to review in the meantime as well. And yeah, sounds interesting. Yeah.
And
Yep.
and if they're not looking for any promotion from us, just hey, can I park it there, but you don't have to do anything?
Then I think we take it out of our hands and we put it in DPW's hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because then it's like, then we've got nothing to do with you, right? And we're not gonna deny it, but now it's on a different level because you're gonna park it on a town property.
Okay. Next line. So I had sent this through, but I didn't realize that the big grid that we all looked at with the steps and the director, the levels and the pay and all that, I thought that was the runway for, each year you go up a step. That is your increase. But Sandy sent one out, I think a week ago, that I was sending around to you all.
Yeah.
That's the FY27 compensation plan. So where we're at in the grid this year is now actually higher than what we thought we were going to be at in the grid this year, because it was based on last year's grid. And I didn't know there would be annual grids. I thought there was one grid. So
Okay.
it's, technically we still have another day. The budget's all submitted, but technically we do still have until tomorrow for the budget to be submitted through Vadar. So I can always go in and edit it again. Or we can kind of just say we know, mentally we're gonna be, I think it's like 1,500 to 2,000 under what we planned. Great. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it is what it is. Let it roll.
Yeah. Yep. But so for next year, I mean, obviously that's late in the game for that to come out. People are already having budget conversations well before that. But let next year in our minds, let's just know that there's an annual grid compensation plan, not a forever one. Hey, here's your information.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, and let's hopefully we can get something out from Sandy earlier, so that way we can have that number and plug it in appropriately.
Mhm.
Great. So just the update that the Snapology program was canceled. There was only one person who registered, so we did go ahead and cancel it. Snapology still really wants to work with us. They think they need to get some traction. So their next idea was to do a free program. 1 hour free program, you know, obviously limited number of people, and just they want people to show up and like see what it is and get excited about it, so that, you know, they're worried that there's a disconnect between, hey, I don't know what that is, and people aren't signing up. So just trying to coordinate with them on that, but it's a bummer because it's the second time that we've scheduled, advertised, canceled, due to low registration.
Yeah.
Or second or third. Archery, the next round is going live soon. That's been another nice program, you know, relatively low registrations, but it costs us nothing. Multiple towns, you know, there's like 5 towns now involved. And I did offer our fields, you know, as a potential, but really the towns that are getting 7, 8, 9, 10 registrations want to hold the location, so their people are going local. You know,
Yep.
our 1 to 2 registrations can travel. And it's only Hopkinton and places like that. So anyway, that's been nice. They're finalizing the dates for spring, probably spring and summer soon. So that's all ready to just plug and play. That's been good. Kids at Play is open. You know, slow start, but really haven't done any big marketing for it. Just shot it out on social media. And the next step is going to be sending a flyer over to the elementary schools. I am going to try to reach out to other elementary schools. You know, it's always historically been our local ones, but maybe Northbridge or whoever else, you
Yeah,
know, is
yeah.
willing to advertise it out. So I'm going to kind of start making some relationships there and see, you know, feel free to say no, but I'm just asking, you know, would you
Yeah.
be willing to pass this around?
Yeah, it's almost one of those, you know, I almost love to get it into like the Hopkintons and Westboroughs and stuff, knowing that,
Yeah.
you know, majority of those families might have uh the pocketbook might be a little bit more open, and you might actually find that it's a lot less than other things in their towns,
Yeah.
right? Even
Yeah.
at our increased price rates.
Yep. Yeah. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask, but I'm gonna guess we're gonna have a little less luck at towns that have their own program. Whereas I know like Northbridge doesn't have a recreation department. So I know that we're not competing with the recreation department
Sure.
summer program. We're competing
Yep.
with the White Community Center. So they might be
Exactly.
more willing since it's not, you know, 1-to-1.
Yep.
But anyway, it kind of a can't hurt to ask. And then for applications, similar thing, you know, reach out to BVT and Nipmuc like always, but program director position, just really shoot around to other schools and say, would you be willing to pass this out to your teachers? You know, we're looking for a teacher style person for this role, you know, and then obviously, and if you're willing to pass this out to your students, we'd love more applicants, but mostly it's, you know, this role and a teacher style that we're looking for.
Okay.
Field trip ideas. So one of the things I've been working on is trying to revamp our field trip schedule. I think it's gotten a little stale over the last few years. I think the last 3 years, it's looked very similar to itself. So keeping some of the classics of Urban Air, and Southwick Zoo, you know, some of the ones that I think just they fill up every year, everyone likes them, that kind of thing. But trying to throw in some new ideas. So this is not instead of some of the others, these are just some new ideas. So I reached out to Central Rock Gym. I kind of expected to be aged out of this one and that they wouldn't be offering to kids that young, but actually they're open to every age. They, you know, really just said, you know, parents can make their own decision. They're like, the guy was like, the other day I had a 2-year-old who was killing it and having a great time because the parents
Wow.
knew that he was just gonna want to mess around, and he did great. You know, and you have 10-year-olds who are terrified. So they don't have age restrictions. Obviously, parents might have more or less opinions on it. But that might be kind of cool to do something different. And then I had never heard of this, but if you all have heard of it, it's the Krista, no idea how to pronounce the last name, Center, which is the Framingham State like
Mhm.
simulation and planetarium. So for 5th grade and up, you can do the simulation, the actual space simulation. And then for the kids that are K through 4th grade, you can do the planetarium show. So they'd be willing to do both at the same time because they're similar lengths. And so the older kids could be in the simulation, the younger kids could be in the planetarium show. That way it's open to all ages. And then afterwards they can, hang out on campus or in the food court, eat the bagged lunch, and head home. So I thought that might be kind of cool. Oddly, those two are cheaper than most of our other field trips.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so because the Central Rock Gym, you're only paying per kid. So the counselors, up to once you're up to the minimum, so they've got a minimum, and then it's each kid individual. And then same thing with the Krista Center. You're only paying per kid because it's just a flat rate, and you need a minimum of 18 for the simulation. So they're like, for both, we would give you 700. You could go as many as you want, but you need at least 18 in the simulation to run it. So that's pretty cool and quite cheap if you break it down per kid. One idea I did have, if we're looking like we're not getting a ton of interest, is to maybe see if there's some sort of something that would be good for smaller children at the same time. So I don't know if this would get too complicated, but for example, if we wanted to run 2 buses on the day of the simulation, we could run 1 bus that just is for younger kids that goes to a younger kid related area, and 1 bus that goes to the Krista whatever center for the kids who are older who've signed up. And so it's still 2 buses. We're paying for 2 buses. We're paying for 2 field trips. We'd price them separately. They'd just be on the same day. I don't know if I want to try to get that this year, but it might be a way to be able to offer more age appropriate things, because one of the things I keep running into is a 7th grader and a kindergartner doing the same stuff is tough.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So again, I'm not sure I'll go those logistics, but it's something to think about in the future. We have so much interest. If we want to run a second bus, they don't always have to go to the same place. We could just run 2 trips that
That's a
day.
good idea. Yeah.
As again, then the numbers get hard because if you don't have enough little kids and too many big kids, you're sending them to separate spots, all that. So we'll see. Hanover Theater. So Hanover Theater actually has matinee shows. Haven't looked up. They don't have the dates yet. I have a call out to them posted for those, but they do have a STEM, well, I guess STEAM because it's the arts part of it, program where they talk about lighting and they talk about puppet shows, in the shadows and how all of that works. And they talk about the math of certain movements in terms of the stage and how it all comes together. So it might be kind of cool. Again, I haven't spoken to them specifically because I have a call out to them, but looking through their website, just might be something that's a little bit of a mix between theater, STEAM, and rec. So that might be kind of cool. Revolution have a camp day at Gillette this year. That's on a Thursday, so on our field trip day. Typically it's on a Wednesday, which honestly wasn't the reason we weren't going. It just wasn't. But it is the same day as the Bravehearts. So I think it might be nice to mix things up, especially because this year, to avoid the other things they've got going on, concerts that had to be moved and all that. They did move it to a Thursday, so it might be good to try it out and see if there's similar or more interest than the Bravehearts. Bravehearts always filled up very last minute. It filled, but it was a slow stagger to the end.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of making that switch. Slightly more expensive, but not significantly. And Bravehearts was always silly cheap, like $10 a kid.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's the soccer team, right?
Revolution.
New England
Yeah.
Revolution. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
plus it's a World Cup year, so might get a lot of interest. Yeah.
Yep. Is it World Cup or Olympics? World
Oh,
Cup.
it's World Cup.
It's World Cup. So World Cup is
World Cup.
Yeah. World Cup is, I'm thinking about the Olympics that are just coming up in a few weeks. World Cup is what's pushing it back. So World Cup is pushing the concerts back, which is pushing the date back from what they usually do.
Got it.
Anyway, I think it might be cool. And then because it's camp day, they have the big tailgating stuff at the beginning, like a lot of Revolution games do. So they have the inflatables and all that. So I think that might be a lot of fun. And then honestly, West End Creamery. I'm not sure what they'll be open yet because I know fall they did the corn maze and all that. So I don't know in the summer what the offerings will be, but if the corn maze is open, if the little like bouncy area is open, I don't know. And that was one that I was even thinking might be the good yin to the yang of maybe one of the older ones is
Yeah.
go
Mhm.
get, ice cream, play kind of a chill mini golf and hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, just trying to mix things up a little bit. I like I said, I think it's getting a little stale, so just want to have some new ideas.
Yeah. I just threw I forget who I was talking with, but yeah, there's a Ryan's Family Amusement in Millis. So I threw it in the chat, just but it's candlepin bowling, right?
Mm.
Versus the
Mm.
larger ball,
The
right?
big, yeah.
But they've got arcades and like some of them will have a bouncy area or a laser tag thing or something else all associated with it. So, it's is it
Yeah.
is it somewhat pins like? Sure, but different, right? So
Yeah. And so maybe it's instead, right?
yeah,
Rather than
Mhm.
yeah.
both.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily get into it, but I remembered, like I said, I don't even remember who I was talking with about it, but someone had mentioned, oh, they're like, oh yeah, there's Ryan's, and I went, oh yeah, I remember going to that place one time, ages ago, but I know
Yep.
it's still operational, and someone was doing a field trip there or something. Maybe it was through Mendon. I actually don't remember, but
Cool.
just something else to look at.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, I only knew there's a Northborough has a candle pin and Northbridge has candle pin, but I didn't know about that one. So
Yeah, and this is no, and this one looks like legit, probably 20 some 20 to 25 lanes or something along those lines, and much bigger area than like Northridge's little postage stamp.
yeah. No, that would be a lot of fun. So awesome. Yeah. And if you all think of anything else as, people who
Yep.
raised kids and took kids places and stuff, like I said, I want to circle back, maybe every year kind of be flip-flopping between some
Mhm.
things.
Yep.
Yeah. Just keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Like I said, applications are open. Worked out the interviews with Sandy, so we're good there. The one difference you all, I guess, should be aware of, just so you know, is we're looking to cut off new hire applications mid-March. That was the one that really bled us, later and later and later because they're little 15-minute interviews, and sometimes you get the crash application close deadline and 25 people apply and then you got to schedule 25 interviews all of a sudden. So we're looking to cut new hire applications off March 15th. And then returners still have until the end of March so that they, kind of always counting on that. I don't want them to miss it just because we changed the date. And hopefully that'll speed things up a little bit. The last 2 years, but especially last year, we ran into some issues where people were not getting their paperwork in time, and we had a kid who showed up to work and we said, hey, go to the office, call your mom, finish your paperwork before you clock in because you're not signed off. And that's we can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So and 2 years ago we had like 130 applicants. We could be choosy and just say you don't get it in, you lose your job. But last year we only had like 80 something applicants, and that's a lot. You want to pick good people. So if a good person's
Yep.
pausing on their paperwork, you don't want to lose the good person. So you let them go and let them go. And then,
Yeah.
so anyway, we're trying to work on that a little bit, but I did my rounds of, I chatted with Jess and I chatted with Trish and I'm talking to Sandy and trying to say, what how-to documents can we supply right at the beginning? What can we say here? How can we rephrase this to make it clearer what you need to do and the deadline? They all know the deadlines. It's not that. It's really they wait for the deadline and then go, oh, I don't know how to do it. So
Yeah.
that's mostly what we're on into. Indoor pickleball is going well. We did have one glitch where the people who registered at the very beginning, like 2 a.m. the day it opened and 6 a.m. the day it opened, the very beginning. For some reason, the system allowed them to sign up for multiple time slots on the same day. They actually didn't mean to. They weren't trying to. It just somehow happened. So we had, I believe, 2 to 3 people who were registered for all 3 time slots on one day. We've kind of figured this out and deleted it from them. Luckily, they didn't get overcharged. They just got over registered. But it did leave some openings here and there. And so then we've had a few people where they're like, okay, well, this one now has 2 openings because this couple was there, but then they were 6. So now we only had 4 people show up. Can we sub in? And that's where our policy of like, sorry, we really can't administratively handle swaps and waivers and reschedules and subs and whatever. No.
Yeah.
But I think without that glitch, we really haven't run into any issues. People register, they play their spot. I'll be honest, I haven't showed up Saturday or Sunday to make sure the right people who are registered are the people who are there, but the pickleball committee and all the people are saying that they're on it and watching it. So hopefully we're good. We haven't heard any issues yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's working out okay. And town doesn't seem to have anything going on where they're like, hey, this happened at pickleball on the weekend. Summer volleyball and theater had to be moved over to Misco. So Nymbuck has those big renovations going on. So we're kicked out for the summer. So that's volleyball and theater kicked out. So I was working with BVT actually to slide over there, but just Misco was the better landing spot for having a actual like auditorium and stage area versus BVT just having that like they call it the competition room, so just like a big open room. And competition center. And then same thing with volleyball. We were running into, they have a basketball camp that runs till 9, so we'd have to start late or change nights. Misco has a place to play volleyball. I am
Yep.
double checking that we can use 2 courts at Misco versus just 1 volleyball. And Rick, you might know the answer to that. I don't know. Yeah.
It depends on which place, if it's upper gym or lower gym.
Yeah. I'm not sure, so I just shot over an email to Kim, who's been doing the scheduling for us. But basically, it's just everybody's been great. Mike over at BVT has been super helpful, but it just made more sense for us to land back at Misco.
Yep.
So everyone's aware that the reservation, contracts are in and all that. We need to order the new tennis nets for the spring. We had talked about that last time, so I just left it on the list, but no updates there.
Yeah.
Site improvement. So I actually met with John about the Kiwanis building because yes, we're kind of paused in any sort of funding or steps for that, but we could still try to get what the ABCs are. So we actually walked around the Ramsey building and he looked at everything. He looked at the back door. He kind of pulled up the carpet to look underneath and checked around. He said, obviously he's no expert, but he's like, I don't see glaring evidence of mold. So it might be more just smelly, musty, old carpet stuff when it's the heart of summer versus like a real mold issue.
Who did you walk with?
Oh, building inspector.
Oh, that John. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Yep. I forgot.
So
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to go in the bedroom? Okay. She's having a tough night. She the bath thing scared her, I think. Plus she has a fever.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was really good. And he actually just today, he sent over some contacts for potential contractors that we might want to reach out to, start getting some quotes. I do want to run past Dennis. Do we need to do any of the 3, bid 3 company, get a minimum of 3 bids for the work or anything along those lines? I don't think so with this scope of work. I think it's below the amount. Especially if we're trying to stay within the site improvement 16,000. But I just I haven't done much of this. We haven't done much of this. So I just want to run it by Dennis and make sure we are ready to go. So again, new town manager, if they're like, hey, go, it's your money, go spend it, we have the steps ready to go. Yeah, baseball field repairs, no update. Bathroom, I talked to Mike Antonellis. He said the grant actually got rejected. So they're doing an application review with the committee that they applied with next week to just understand like why specifically did we get rejected, because he's going to submit for the exact same grant again. And so the timing would just restart, probably hear back next fall. And that money, you know, did come through successfully this time, maybe it would be ready for next summer. But just trying to understand like what could we do differently to make this better.
Yep.
But unfortunately, no bathroom upgrades before this summer. Current programs, pickleball, dodgeball, that's really what we've got. And then obviously Kids at Play opening up. New programs, not a lot of updates here. These are just kind of the ideas that are sitting there for other programs to run. Concert series, I did speak to the new Board of Health, Matt, and kind of said, hey, what are the steps if we get this group that wants to run, you know, if Girl Scouts wants to run our grill for us, can they use our grill? Can they use our freezer? What steps do they need to take? And we kind of talked through all the things. And then I took that and I circled back with that information to the Girl Scouts who seemed the most interested. Nipmuc was like, yeah, maybe there's a group here or there, but I think Girl Scouts was like, we might be able to do every week. So just kind of circle back with, okay, let's get chatting about that again now. That's after the holidays. These are the steps you need to complete. What are you feeling?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So
And is that why I probably saw that food vendor form thing come across? Did that tie in with that? There was like a food concession sale thing or something?
oh, with Kenny?
No, with Matt.
Probably. Yep. That
Okay.
sounds right. Yep. And then that's really it. You know, long-term goals, honestly haven't made a ton of progress. The next marketing newsletter is gonna go out once the what am I trying to say? Once Kids at Play was live, which now it is. So now it's putting together the newsletter. I am hoping to have the details of archery lined up before it, but I'm not going to wait on archery for it. But the idea would be able to just say like, okay, here's our next level of things. Kids at Play is open, applications are open. We're doing archery, we're doing dodgeball, we're, you know, volleyball, yoga, that kind of thing. And just really have kind of it all in one place. But again, I'm not going to wait on archery if I haven't heard back from them.
So when do we want to do the Mendon Upton Free Press ads?
If it's
we
just
wanna-
for Kids at Play, I say let's do it now. You know, we're
Okay.
live, and if we're not trying to include any other programming, then I don't think there's any reason to wait.
Okay, I mean, I think last year we put in field trips, for example, you know,
Okay.
we put 3 of them in there or something. So if we have any field trips that we know we're gonna do, we can include those.
Okay.
As well,
Probably
like,
over the next few weeks, I can get those nailed down. Just because it seems like right now it's early enough that most still have a lot of availability. So, you know, if they have less availability, I just say yes to their date. If they have a lot, then I kind of do the puzzle. So it might take me, I would say 2-ish, maybe 2.5 weeks to get the responses, get all the information and puzzle piece it together.
Okay.
So if we want to wait on that, then maybe wait a few weeks.
Yeah, I think if we submit in that time frame, we could get in the March edition
Yeah.
of Mendon
I
Upton
was just
Free Press.
gonna say if it's like if it's an early March, then that's great. Let's see if we can avoid a school vacation week.
Yeah.
I think that would work out.
Yeah, I can deal with them again if you want me to submit the ad and do all that stuff.
Sure, that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay,
The one thing I haven't heard back from, and honestly, I think I've only sent one, maybe two emails, so it's not a lot, but again, the facility opening dates from Dennis and DPW, obviously, I know he's got a lot on his plate right now.
Right.
But we are already starting to get calls about beach passes and that kind of stuff. So, one question I don't know if we specifically touched on it, but are we increasing beach pass cost this year?
I don't think we are. For
Yeah.
the parking,
Did we go up last year?
we did last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we did last year for non-residents, and I think for residents as well, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Yeah, it's so hard to remember if it was 1 or 2 years ago that we went up. But Chris, I guess you would have been brand new 2 years ago. So if you have like a solid memory of it, it's
It
probably
was
last year.
It was last year. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Rick, you feel good about
that sounds right. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, in terms of the dates and all that type of stuff, I know at one point we had said, all right, let's bring in, you know, maybe the field request into this one. You know, I think we made sure we kind of include it for the next one. Easter is early this year, but I know, I know, I personally know soccer wise, we're not looking to kick off until the weekend of the 11th. So, you know, just the first couple of weeks, the last couple of years have been horror shows trying to get started a week earlier than that. So, so knowing that, right, you know, that would be you know, I think the time frame to them in terms of field openings and kind of say, okay, well, you know, I'd say April 1st would be the general target, whether, you know, weather and field conditions pending, right? And then let them tell us when the fields are open based on when they think it's safe to go out and start getting on them. But, you know, target, we should be targeting at least the beginning of April for that. You know, if we're looking now for, you know, when do we think we want the beach to be open and all that? Well, we haven't gotten there yet. Let's see how this weekend storm comes through, how many days the kids are gonna have off, and
Yeah.
what is that gonna do to our snow days?
Mhm.
Yeah, so technically the first day of Kids at Play is a potential snow day reschedule day for the schools.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're gonna see about that. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so I mean the last few years for the beach, we opened the weekend after Memorial Day. I always mix up Memorial Day and Labor Day. Memorial Day.
Yeah, Memorial, right? And I think that's just to get it all set up, and then would start maybe doing some stuff on weekends, but you know, until Kids at Play gets underway. So
Yeah, I think for the beach we have a pretty good system. I just, making sure Dennis, thinks he can handle that with his crew. He knows how many people he has and all that. So weekend after Memorial Day is what I think we should shoot for again, if they can get the beach all set up. I don't know if they're doing sand this year. I think they had talked about it, so we might have new sand hitting this spring. So then just getting that all laid out, and that
yeah,
would have to be before the tent goes up. So, a couple of the backtrack steps.
yeah. That's
But
right.
anyway, yep. And then Kids at Play obviously is when we go to 7 days a week, but good with it of just let's run by them that we're saying, hey, we're saying April 1st, but obviously you're telling us when we're really on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe the only other thing, and I probably, I don't know if I said this or not, I did meet with the soccer guys, the men up to soccer anyway, knowing that school fields and stuff are going to go offline. They're going to be looking to us to help supplement some field times and that type of stuff. So I do think we've got a little bit of a a switch coming in, for the fall anyway, where Kiwanis will probably get used more as a 11v11 field instead of a 9v9 field. So I think they're going to flip flop some fields around in order to try to keep a little bit of traffic off of that, knowing that we'll have high school kids running around on it, at some point as well.
Okay.
We'll see exactly what, how many and all that. I just, and kind of get something back to Chris just to basically say, hey, we know we've got it. I can't tell you exactly what days and all that type of stuff, but if he's off by 5:15, 5:30, we're probably fine.
Yeah.
So
Is
which-
it for any of the smaller kids, is it helpful at all to try to do, obviously not games, but like practices in the outfield of the softball field?
I mean, feasibly we could, but I'm not thinking it's a field issue per se. Because West River is still, kind of used for the U10 size, the 7v7 size field. Actually, I'm not sure what they're doing with the in-town stuff. I didn't necessarily ask about in-town. That's when we usually use more of the pug goals and things that are, just set up the day of, and everyone brings kind of a kit with them and sets it up and then leaves it. Could that be something? Maybe. I guess we'll just have to see. And but it very well could. And then the only other piece thereafter would be that U12, and usually the 11v11 is a field that's used in Mendon. So if they're just flip flopping that with the 9v9 and 11v11, they'll just flip flop the field usage. It shouldn't be that much more, any more taxing or any less taxing than they already have.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just, some people that are going, oh, I drove, used to do this drive. Now I have to do that drive. Well, I'm going back to doing this other drive again. So
Yeah.
just, it is what it is. But
Okay.
I mean, they get it. And, I think they're also looking at it and saying, hopefully they'll reap the benefits of them putting in that field and potentially being able to have some, town program use of that turf field as well. So.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Well,
So-
I appreciate that you're at the center of all the various groups. It just kind of lets me do a little less coordinating.
So I think I may have said this, maybe I haven't. This is my last year of it,
You've said that.
right? So, December, this year, calendar year, December will be the AGM when someone else will come in and take over the presidency role.
Yeah.
So
Are you gonna stay connected though?
so-
Or are you gonna stay like on the committee or something?
Oh, correct. Yeah. Well, that's just part of who I am. I'm sure I'll be still connected in there somehow. And
Yeah.
and Mass Youth has been kind of pinging a little bit, meaning now going up to the state level instead of just staying at a league level. But I haven't committed to them on anything. So but I've been expecting that call.
Okay.
So
Of course.
um,
Rather than more time off, you'll have more time on.
My wife goes, yeah, what are you gonna do to fill your time? And I went, don't you worry, I'm sure things will knock.
Yeah.
Right, and I'll still, and I hopefully I can use both versions of the word no, right? Not the one that I love to use, which is the no that starts with a K and ends with a W. Right, so anyway, all right.
All right.
So yeah, so I think was there Was there any, no, I think that was it, right? So,
That's it.
what happened? I switched screens and it went off. All right, there it is. All right. So I guess, I know Laura's not on. We did talk about, kind of doing a publication. So I guess that's part of the marketing plan. Did you talk? I don't know if I heard something about new seasonal beach program director.
Oh, no update. The position's posted. Really it's that would be reaching out to the other schools, not elementary schools, but high schools and well, really everyone, and just
Yeah.
plugging and saying, hey, even if you're not willing to advertise our program, would you mind sending this job description around to your teachers? So that's kind of
Okay.
the next step there, but no
So that one's
applicants.
more of a dual, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess anything else, right? We're into that. Any other topics? So I guess you mentioned a female potential replacement for town manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, I haven't been tracking it super close, but it sounds like last week at the select board meeting, they actually like put name in agenda. I haven't actually checked the name, but people have been saying it's a woman. And sounds like it's been kind of a moving up from town to town. I want to say like Berlin or something was
Yeah,
her
she
last.
was at, I think, Leominster and then Berlin. She's
Yeah.
wants to be manager of a smaller town versus
Yeah.
larger places. And I think they did contract negotiations a couple of days ago with the person. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that they're gonna come online pretty soon
Got it.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
start
from
to
what I
get,
heard, it's been offered and accepted, and she's given notice. So I think it's the 60 days at her current job
Sure.
to
Okay.
to wind down. So I think they're shooting for March.
Cool.
oh, good. Yep. Yeah,
No,
Laura
that's
seemed
good.
pretty
I hadn't
enthusiastic
heard it
about the
one way or
person.
another. So yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Laura-
update as of today. I was popping around town hall. So yeah, that was the update as of today, and I think again, every town manager, they're going to need time to get adjusted. So I would say next fall we can maybe start saying, hey, we want to maybe see what her vibe is and where she's leaning. I'm assuming March through summer she'll just be getting settled.
Got it.
Yeah.
And maybe the last thing is, are you being seen?
Are we being seen?
Yes, you. Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying.
You talk about
So-
number 2?
No.
Oh.
Meaning, you said you went into the town hall and was around.
Oh, am I being seen? Yeah. I made my rounds. I said hello to everybody.
Okay. No, if there's just in case, if there's a schedule that you're gonna try to keep, if you can maybe just zip me what your plans are for that. So that way, if someone like a Dennis, right, happens to ask, because obviously I talked to him earlier this morning, I could go, oh, you're actually going to be there from this time to that time on this day, right? And kind of a little quasi schedule of when you're planning to be there, so that way that way if there are things that come up, people can catch you in person,
Sure.
because I think that
Okay.
would be beneficial.
So more scheduled versus just more often,
Well, just
or
in
in addition.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's some, if you, and I'm not necessarily saying it has to be, rigid, but if there's a, hey, I know I'm going to try to make a 2 or 3 hour window on, I'm going to try to go on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. Right. And, again, people that I've talked to have said, you know, hey, I understand, not a lot of recreation stuff going on, middle of winter. Yeah, I kind of get it. So, you know, no harm, no foul type thing, but again, just in case someone asks and kind of go, well, around this time, you know, typically you're shooting to be around, these types of times on these couple of days.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
I can
all.
try to make it a little bit more regular. Um, Chris, I don't know if if Rick looped you in on this, but there was a bit of an ask of, hey, how much is Maria around? Because, we know that a good amount of it is virtual and, obviously I've been
Mm.
very transparent with all you all,
Yeah, of course.
I work from home and all that. So, there's no secrecy or anything, but
Mhm.
Rick kind of communicated to me that there's been some questions of like, is there an expect, is she in
Who,
more? Is
who's,
she supposed to be in
yeah,
more?
I got a Maria who, and I
Yeah,
went, okay, message taken, and
yeah,
just again,
yep,
I want the best
yep,
for you, not, I'm hearing it and supporting, certainly supporting of the time at home and work-life
sure,
balance and all that type of stuff. I'm not,
yeah,
I'm fine. Things are getting done and all that, so we're good. Just, I don't want I don't want a bad perception coming because of something that we've necessarily acknowledged, and
yeah,
it's where it sounded like it was going a little bit. So just seeing whether or not, okay, can you can your lovely face come around a little bit more often so
yeah,
people know who you are,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah, no, and Chris, the reason I'm, kind of looping you in too is it's a good heads up because I'll be super honest, my brain started going, hey, I'm a lot more efficient if I pop in on a Saturday and I don't get in all these little conversations with
Oh, right,
everyone. So
right.
there's a lot of, you know, that
yeah,
mentality of, everything's fine, just get what, but Rick's saying the FaceTime, is part of the game.
yeah, so
And
yeah,
Mhm.
that's
that
Yeah, that
super
networking
makes
fair.
and
sense.
knowing who you are. Yeah.
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 Yep. So anyway, yeah, I can do that. Um, I'll work on, I don't know about the super consistent, but I can let you know of the plan, hey, look,
Yeah.
you're looking to pop in tomorrow type of thing. Mostly just, like Bugs came home with 100 and whatever degree
Yep.
fever today, so I'm home tomorrow with her. That it's
Yeah. Yeah.
never
Yeah.
ending. So
Yep.
I don't know if I can do the like every Tuesday from blah to blah, but I can definitely try to keep you in the loop of this week I'm thinking this week I'm thinking that.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe you find, there's a consistent theme on a consistent day or something
Yeah,
along those lines, and it can be known. Therefore, if someone has something, they can try to catch you in person. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
perfect.
Beauty.
And also it's going in that season where I'm around a lot more anyway, because we've got interviews and we have,
Sure.
yeah, check-in meetings with people and trainings and
Yeah.
all that.
No.
So
Yeah.
it
No. Absolutely.
happens a little
Yeah.
more naturally, but yes, I can also make it intentional.
Yeah, but even then, yeah, you're coming in, but sometimes you're behind a closed door, with Sandy per se, right? And
Exactly.
not necessarily available to others during some of those windows. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we get it. We're good.
Yep.
We're good. But just
Perfect.
again, looking after you.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate it. Like I said, you all know me. I'm sometimes too transparent. So you all know exactly what I'm doing and so as long as, we
Yep.
stay in the loop of everyone here feels good and we can try to make them feel good too, I'm fine.
Yep. So cool.
All right.
So next meeting,
Yes.
looking at maybe the 19th is 4 weeks from now, or the 26th of February.
School vacation week that
Is
week,
this,
but it
yeah.
doesn't matter. 19th works.
Could we, it's fine if the answer is no, but could we potentially switch back over to Wednesday? Wednesday was tough. Looking at the
Yeah.
18th.
18th?
18th, sure.
that work? Okay. 19th, I just have potentially 8 hours of interviews that day, so I'd love to not also do. It's vacation week, so we're trying to get all the kids while they're not in
Oh,
school.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 18th is a
18th,
little
we'll
lighter.
aim
It's
for.
only 4 hours.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay,
Alright.
You know, and if, you know, if it needs to be the week after that, because you're trying to do all the school, a lot of the interview things that we could, I mean, you know, can we? Sure.
Sure. Well, so that week we're doing during the day, so it's actually great. The other weeks we're doing after school, so it's actually not better because then you're getting
Yeah, fair.
later and
Right.
later, and we might even be doing interviews till 8 o'clock at night and stuff. So actually, it's a good week. Just if we
To
can
do
choose
it
between
later,
the
yeah.
4 hour day and the 8 hour day, I'll take the 4 hour
Yep.
day.
Okay,
okay.
Alright.
all right.
So 18th.
Sounds like a plan.
Perfect.
All right, 8:35. We'll we can adjourn here.
Perfect.
Sounds good.